Hello, everybody, and thank you all so much for being here. And again, I want to also thank Pamela for bringing Veggie Pride Parade to North America. Really, she brought it to North America, and to Maggie and the Humane Party for so enthusiastically taking it on, and especially for all of you who have come here and participated for your interest and your concern about these issues. So thank you all very much. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the largest category of abused vertebrate animals. They're killed by some of the cruelest methods, and yet they receive the least protection and the least attention. And they are fishes and other aquatic animals who are used for food. They're killed not in the billions, but literally in the trillions every year. We're desertifying the oceans, and they're killed in some of the cruelest ways you can imagine. They're hauled from the bottom of the ocean in such large nets. They're crushing each other to death. They come from such a depth, a change in pressure, that their eyes pop out of their sockets and their internal organs come out of their mouths. It's just the most horrendous way you can imagine. And also the other animals who are incidentally caught with them in fishing gear, the dolphins and the seals and the whales and turtles and birds, and the animals who are intentionally killed because they eat fish, the sea lions and birds who are killed by the tens of thousands to try to keep them from eating fish. And they need to eat fish. We don't need to, and we shouldn't, for our own health as well as the environment and the animals' sake. And also the fish farming, where animals are crammed into pens so jam-packed and just crawling with sea lice and other parasites which they transmit to the wild fish and pollute the waters, and it's really a disaster. And as so many of you, and also the animals who genuinely depend on fish for food, are being deprived of their sustenance, and the humans who are enslaved, literally enslaved in the fishing industry and on fishing ships that are out at sea for years at a time, and also other areas of the seafood industry. There's just so much suffering and needless cruelty in the seafood industry. And as many of you intuitively know, and science has shown, these are animals who are sentient. They feel fear and pain, and they're very admirable animals. We're getting to know more about them all the time, able to study them in their natural environment. And they are intelligent animals. Many of them are devoted parents. They cooperate with other species. They pass knowledge from generation to generation, which is the basis of culture. These are very admirable, amazing animals, just as deserving of our respect and compassion as any other animals. And yet, despite all this, virtually they have no legal protection. They're not covered by the Humane Slaughter Act. They're not covered by the Animal Welfare Act. They virtually have no legal protection. And many don't even consider them animals. If you think of how many people claim to be vegetarian, but they eat fish, or you think of Lent, where you're supposed to give up meat, and yet fish is the most popular food. And fishing is also the gateway to animal abuse. If you think, what other animals is it considered admirable not only to kill, but to actually torture, which is what fishing is. You're torturing animals. And by teaching children to do that, we are teaching them to abuse animals and desensitizing them to animal suffering. So we started Fish Feel to try to raise attention for these very neglected animals and to try to get other organizations to increase their advocacy for them. And that is beginning to happen. I'm so glad, so heartening to see how many signs in the crowd today were advocating for fishes. And this year was the second year for World Day for the End of Fishing, which saw 80 events celebrated across the world, advocating for fishes in all kinds of ways. But we're really behind it here in the U.S., and we really need to step up our advocacy for fishes, and we really need everybody's help in doing that. And so the first thing to do is, if you eat seafood, please stop doing that. If you eat animal-sourced seafood, this week is actually Veg Week is happening in April, and back on our table, which is all the way in the back, we have you can sign up for Veg Pledge. Being vegan is easier, better, and more compelling than ever. If you sign up, they'll send you tips and online help, and it's really the easiest way, and it's for your own health as well. Seafood is touted as being a health food, but if you think of the mercury and the dioxins, the PCBs, the parasites, the plastic, cholesterol, saturated fat, it's definitely not a healthful food. It's a health hazard. So for our own sake, as well as the sake of the animals who are killed for it, And a lot of the animals that are caught by fishing and in fish farming are used to feed farmed animals, so it's also contributing to those horrendous industries. So there's just so many problems with the fishing industry. And what we really need is people to advocate for fishes. So please be an advocate for fish. If you hear people talking about them, let them know that fish are sentient. They do feel fear and pain. If you see articles about them, submit a letter to the editor explaining that fish are sentient. They deserve our respect and compassion. If you see people posting articles about them online, post a comment in response. Or if you see recipes for fish, let people know that there are healthier alternatives out there. There are vegan versions of virtually any kind of seafood you can imagine. They even make vegan shark fin. So anything you have a hankering for, there's a vegan version of that's better for us, better for the animals, better for the environment. On our website, we have fact sheets. We have a section on our website that has vegan seafood recipes, hundreds of recipes and links to companies, vegan seafood cookbooks. And also, please urge other animal protection organizations to increase their advocacy fishes. And we were hearing it through the crowd today that fish want to be friends, not food. That's very true. And please be a friend to fishes because they all desperately need our help so much. So thank you very much.